Have you ever wondered what's the rules or the etiquette of cycling? What can you do? What can't you do? What should you do? What shouldn't you do? Well, stick around and I'll show you what I have found out after just about 2,000 miles of cycling. Well, good morning again, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I thought maybe we would visit just a little bit about what I've learned about the etiquette of cycling. I guess you'd call it the unwritten rules. Well, I reckon we'll throw in some of the written rules as well. I just did a 1,000-mile review on this bike that I'm riding right now, and I got just about as many miles on my fat tire bike at home, and so I guess I'm qualified to tell you what I've learned. I'm by no means an expert. I'm just a regular guy that hadn't biked for a long time and just started back up. I don't know, maybe a year ago, a little more or less than that. I think we'll go up here, see what the off-road trailhead, what that's like. But, I guess these things, they fall down into one of three categories, either on the road, on the greenways, or on the single track trails. And so we'll kind of look at them that way. And I think maybe we'll look at riding on the roads first. And I guess first and foremost, if you're going to ride on the roads, follow all the traffic laws. You're still subject to them when you get on the roads. Even if you don't have to have a license to be on there, you're subject to them. All right. You also need to be visible. If there's an accident between me and a car, I'm going to lose it. I am going to be coming out on the bottom end of that. There's no question about it. What have we got here? He's stopping. He's letting his dog jump back in. He had a dog running alongside of him there. So, how's it going? But be visible to other drivers is another thing. You can wear a vest. You can do that with a vest. You can do that with lights on the front and the back of your bike. But you want to be visible to them so that they can see you. You don't want to be blind. And speaking of that, now I'll tell you another place where you got to really watch is when you're riding on the roads, when you've got parallel parking on the curb. Watch out, somebody that hadn't just parked there and opened their door just as you're coming by. That could be a pretty tough deal on you right there. You know what? So I'm going to come back here. I seen a little trailhead right here. Looked like some trails going up through there. So let me see what we've got here. Well, no motorized vehicles beyond this point. And according to the National Forest, I qualify as a motorized vehicle. So, I don't know, we're going to the off-road vehicle trailhead, and they say no off-road vehicles here, but oh well, it is what it is. But anyway, stay very aware of your surroundings. You should have a mirror on your bike if you're going to be out on the roads, anywhere for that matter. Don't wear these big old Bose head or noise-canceling headphones. Make sure you can hear what's going on around you too. That's just as important as being able to see what's going on around you. Now, I guess one of the next things would be stop at stop signs, stop at red lights. You gotta, again, you're subjected to the same laws as everybody else. What else we got? Well, as far as riding, roads are for riding, sidewalks are for walking. In a lot of places, you're not really allowed to ride on the sidewalks. Now, here in North Carolina, a bicycle is allowed to ride on the sidewalks. It's legal, but there are some local ordinances that keep you from doing that. And I'll tell you the rule that I always go by is if nobody's on the sidewalk, I don't mind riding on it. If there's people on the sidewalk, I'm going to stay off of it. I'm just going to plain stay off of it. So, what else have we got for riding on the road? You know, if you're riding in a group, signal when you're going to make a turn. Well, you know what? You don't have to be in a group. If you're riding by yourself, signal when you're going to make a turn. If you got to make a left turn, you know you're going to be pulling out there into the traffic, and so go ahead and make sure you got two arms. Just point the direction you're going. You don't have a turn signal, but you know, point out where you're going. If you're riding in a group, when you get to these intersections, you might want to stop and make sure that you know the whole group is there with you, so nobody ends up getting lost. And so that's pretty much what I can think of for the roads, just kind of off the top of my head. Of course, if you guys have some suggestions, throw them down there into the comments. You know, give me some more that I got to think of. So what else do we got? Well, we've got the greenways that we can be talking about. So what would we have to do on the greenways? I gotta tell you, this is a really pretty road to follow down. Got the river riding right down below me. I don't know how well you can see that because I got the camera on the bars up here, but this is really beautiful. Okay, let's get back to what we was here. The greenways. Keep speed reasonable. These are multi-use paths, and you really don't want to be flying by people. Now, just between you and I in my local area, I find that the e-bikers are generally more leisure than some of the hardcore cyclists. I've had hardcore cyclists fly past me when we're out on the greenways, but I'll still throw it out there. Keep your speed reasonable. Again, be aware of your surroundings. Have a mirror with you. One of the best things you can do on a greenway is have a bell. That's about the most unobstructive way to let somebody know that you're coming up is a bell. On my fat tire bike, I've got a big old horn that I don't take that bike on the greenways very much, and if I'd have hit that horn when coming by people, I swear I'd see them jumping out of their shoes the way that thing is. It's a lot of fun to have. Don't never use it, but it sure is fun to have. But just a little bell to let them know you're coming by, and let them know, you know, when I'm passing people, it'll always be, I'm coming by on your left. And as I'm going by, I'll always make sure I tell them thank you. You know, we're ambassadors for not only cycling, but e-biking specifically. You want to be polite to people, so tell them thank you and have a good day, that kind of thing. If Michelle is following me, or if a group is following me, I'll say that, you know, there's one more behind me, or I've got a group coming along with me. People tend to appreciate that. When I pull back in, I make sure I don't about run them off the road when I'm pulling back in. So, what else we got? Single file, you know, you really should be riding. Aha! We've got an ORV park here, or a trailhead here, and it is completely empty. Let's go take a look at the sign here. Well, heard that familiar beep, 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 saying the GoPro battery went dead. Let's head back down here a little bit. I kind of lost track of where I was looking over the sign and everything. But we were talking about the rules on the greenway. And I think I went over, you know, let them know where you're passing on the left side, you know, 2 on the left, that kind of thing right there. Don't cut them off when you go back in. You know, don't run them off the road. And the same thing I mentioned about the cyclists coming by. Make sure that they don't cut you off as well. Be aware of that, you know, so that you don't get run off of the road. What else do we got here? You know, yeah, the yield. I'll tell you something else that I have noticed some people don't do that is kind of a thorn in my side is, we all like to talk to each other. I love to just sit there and chat with Michelle while we're riding down the greenway. But if I see somebody approaching, I'll tell her, look, I'm going to the front or I'm going to the back. We'll go single file when we're passing somebody. I don't want to be passing somebody or having somebody pass by us while we're doubled up like that. You might have some riders out there that are very new to cycling. Cycling's becoming a lot more popular, and some people are very new to it, and that'll make them a little bit on the nervous side. So whether I'm passing or being passed, we'll take it in a single file fashion, or somebody approaching us that is passing us, or we are going to pass somebody, we'll do it in a single file. I guess if somebody's coming up to pass us, we'll single file over as well. That's pretty much what I can think of on the greenways. So let's chat about the trails just a little bit here. See, I made sure we were single file as that car's coming by us there. Well, let's talk about the trails a little bit. On the trails, you got to follow laws. I want you to just look at this river for a second. I don't know how well you can see it, but I got to tell you, man, this is just great up here. What a great place to be. Where are we at here? All right. Yeah, we're in, where are we at? Speaking of, on the trails, we're in a national forest right here, and the federal government for a national forest considers an e-bike as a motorized vehicle. So on mountain bike trails, that is a definite no-no. Even just a pedal assist bike is not allowed on the trails at the national forest. Here in Uwharrie, you have to have a helmet if you're on the mountain or on the off-road vehicle trails, which you are allowed to be on. So follow your local laws. You gotta, as again, you're going to be an ambassador for not only e-biking but for cycling in general. What else you got for the trail? There's some trails that we ride. Umstead Park trails are a one-way trail. On one day you ride one direction. They're all loops. There's, I think, 3 or 4 big loops in there, but one day you ride this direction, the other day you ride this direction. Everybody's supposed to stay with that. Be aware, are you on a one-way trail or is it a two-way trail all the time? You could be, having people approaching you. So, you want to stay aware of it. Keep your speed reasonable with that in mind. If it's a real busy, beautiful day that you haven't had too many on the weekend, keep in mind, don't be flying down them. What else you got here? Mountain bikes. You get on some downhill sections and you really start rolling and you feel like, boy, you should have the right of way for something like that. Well, truth be told, it's the uphill rider that has the right of way. And if you think about it, majority of the bikes out there are not motorized. They're going to have a harder time getting started than you would have getting started if you're coming downhill. So yield to the uphill rider if you're out on the single track trails. Same thing with hikers. Yield to hikers. Now, here's a good, Uwharrie here. It has a ton of horses riding around in here. This is why I'm familiar with Uwharrie, riding horses up in here quite a few years ago. But horses that you happen to meet out on the trail, I tell you, if I see a horse approaching, I'm going to stop my bike. I'm going to step off of it. If I have a light on, a strobing light, I'm going to turn that light off completely. I don't need to be distracting somebody's horse as they're coming down the trail. When they're coming by, personally, because I know horses relatively well, I would ask them if they wanted to let their horse check out my bike if it looked like they were a little bit concerned with it. I'm not going to suggest that most people do that because you haven't, a lot of people just haven't been around them that much. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest that for everybody. What else we got? If I'm approaching horses from the back and I'm going to be faster than they are, I'm going to let them know well in advance that I'm coming up. I'm going to go ahead and cut my light off if I've got a strobe light going. I don't want to disturb that way. And I'm going to ask them for permission. I don't know what kind of horses they're riding. They might be riding horses that have only been ridden, 2 or 3 times out on the trail. I don't need to come up and surprise anybody and watch anybody get hurt. What else we got for out on the trails here? Blocking the trail. You guys have heard me say, well, we're just taking a very leisure ride. Michelle, stop and take a picture of a flower and a bug. All these kind of things. When you stop, get your bike off the trail. Don't stop in the middle of the trail and block it. And get as far off of it as you possibly can. What else we got? This would be a little bit specific to mountain biking. There's a lot of places that will close if it's too wet, but a lot of places you just don't, that's not an issue. And my rule of thumb is if there is standing water here in North Carolina, it's too wet to ride on. The mountain bike trails, specific trails, they stay in pretty good shape. And that's because a lot of places do close them. And, if there's standing water, that could be a real, that could be something that tears up the trails. I try not to skid my tires if I'm on the off-road trails. That could be a tough thing on them as well. And there's off-road vehicle trails here. I used to race off-road motorcycles, and I gotta tell you this. Taking it right here. The motorcycle trails, they are beat up bad. Really beat up bad. So I try not to skid my tires, try and keep these trails in good shape. If they're standing water, try not to ride. That's pretty much what I can think of for those rules, the rules that are written and the rules that are unwritten. But hey, if you've got some suggestions, put them down in the comments and let me know what you guys have found out. Like I say, I'm far from an expert on any of this stuff here. I've only been doing this for about maybe a year, give or take, and that's after about 4.5 decades of hiatus of not riding bicycles. So like I say, I'm definitely not an expert, but I've put roughly 2,000 miles on bicycles over that last year, give or take. And so I've learned a little bit, and I'm sharing with you what I've learned. And hey, I'd love to have you guys share what you've learned that I haven't picked up yet. So I guess that's going to wrap it up from here in Uwharrie National Forest. And guys, until the next time, stay safe, God bless, and keep the wheels turning. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Hey, till next time, we're out.